Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Fastic Feel Good Podcast. Today's guest is Jennifer Cohen.
The idea of failure is interesting to me because everybody who's ever been super successful, we can look at people like an Elon Musk, Oprah Winfrey, LeBron James, in any area, any industry, athletics, every single person has failed multiple times to then achieve greatness. It's not like right out of the gate you're going to be successful.
Jen is the best-selling author of 2 books, the CEO of Supreme Fitness, and host of the Habits and Hustle podcast. She's an international speaker and has reached millions of people around the world through her TED Talk. We'll be talking about the importance of healthy habits and how to prioritize your health. A warm welcome from Germany, Jen. Lovely to have you on board.
Well, thank you for having me, Phil. I'm honored. I know this is a new project for you guys, and I love that I'm your 4th guest.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time. It's a pleasure. I obviously had the honor to talk to you a few times before. Just thanks again for taking the time today as well. So yeah, I would love to get right into it. I've obviously got to know you now a little bit, and it's just wonderful to talk to you because you're so inspiring to me as an entrepreneur myself. Like the things you've done already is just mind-blowing, and I would just love to dive in deeper and actually get to know more about your background and the importance of healthy habits in general. So I know that you've been in the music industry before, but you transitioned to the fitness industry and started down this path since a few years now. And I just wanted to know, how did you get there and why did you change from the music industry to the fitness industry?
Wow, I love how you say a few years. That's I love you for saying that. It's been many years. It's been over 20 years, but I love it. So, because I'm only 22, you know. So, no, I'm teasing.
Great.
But,
got that right.
Right, exactly. Well, no. I was working. I actually started off in sports, then transitioned to music, and then transitioned to fitness. So I've had I've done a few different career pivots in my life. But fitness was always, and health. I think fitness first was really a core, just a real passion of mine. I really enjoyed doing it. It was really part of my day-to-day life. And so when I made the transition from music to fitness, it was really because I hit like a fork in the road. I was really young. I was in my 20s. And then I had this idea that I was actually going to become a label trainer for the record label. So I wasn't going to be a trainer in a gym, but I was going to be a trainer at the record labels that I already had relationships with. So I was trying to use being resourceful, but the relationships and the wherewithal of how I knew how money was being spent in labels. And I basically created an opportunity and a job for myself. But in an area now where I was like really passionate about, which was fitness. And so I went to the president of the label. He gave me a chance, and I kind of just made one label, one label I made into 2 labels and 3. And then I built an entire business around having trainers work for me, training different talent, before they got ready for a music video or before they went on tour. And that was kind of how I started to build my business in the fitness space. So I was always kind of very entrepreneurial, and that was kind of my first kind of entry into that spot. And I built a business very quickly from that. And that was how it kind of just blossomed, from books to products and all sorts of different things in between.
Wow. You've done it all, right? Like it's incredible. Wow. And I also listened to your TED Talk. I love that one. I'm sure that a lot of people have watched that one before as well, because that's obviously a lot of learnings you can take from that, as well as someone who wants to strive for something more, or something what they want. And that's the mantra you give as well, right? Chase that what you want. Don't take what you can get. And especially when it comes to setting yourself goals, what could you give us advice for taking a mantra like this for our Fastic family, our community out there, when they start chasing what they want?
Well, I think it's very important that people don't get stuck in the beginning, right? The hardest part is beginning any process, right? The stop is in the start. And if people don't know exactly what that thing is, then they just won't do anything, and they'll just like take what's available around them and then live a life kind of feeling of like status quo and complacency. So my entire message is to chase what you want, don't take what you can get. And what that really, I try to tell people is like, you don't need to have a destination necessarily, but you do need to have a direction. And if you have a direction, that will lead you down different paths to get to a destination. So don't get overwhelmed by the fact that you don't know right now exactly the exact goal. You can have an area that you're interested in and just start acting and start moving in a direction. And other things will kind of appear or present themselves that you didn't even know that existed. And that's really my entire message and my entire philosophy. And it doesn't change with age or time. Like to this day, I still strive for things that I'm not really, I have an idea of what I want to do, and I just throw a lot of stuff at the wall. And not to say that, hopefully some will stick, but the truth of the matter is, the more you're in motion, it's all about momentum, right? Things in motion stay in motion. So I try to explain to people and tell people that they just have to be like in motion. They have to be acting and doing, as opposed to sitting in the sidelines or standing in the sidelines, thinking and wanting and dreaming. So it's very, very easy to get stuck in that space. So it's really about just doing something, even if it's a little thing, and getting comfortable with, that attempt. And that gets into the healthy habit part, right? Because it's very easy for us to stay put and stay stuck when we're doing the same thing over and over again, right? And which is getting us, kind of deeper and deeper into those holes, those black holes of like not doing. So, kind of know what your triggers are and then like make adjustments. So having routines in place, having habits for success sets you up for success, right? So I'm a really big believer in like routines, morning routines, evening routines, and health habits, because that's what keeps people kind of productive and on point.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. And I think it's at the end of the day, there's this saying as well, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, right? And I just think that so many people, unfortunately, they doubt themselves too much, right? And they're stuck in fear. And this is what I find such a shame, because everyone has got so much to offer and so much inside them, but it's like releasing that, right? And just like stepping out of the fear of not being good enough or fear of failure. And that's just to getting comfortable with that and to pushing through it, because at the end it's so rewarding when you push through that and get out of it. So I'm sure you can give our listeners some advice as well on how to deal or conquer with a fear like that.
Well, I think we all feel like that. There's not one person on this planet who doesn't have insecurities or have doubt in some areas, right? True. I feel like everyone's the same. There's no one that doesn't have that. It's about how you deal with that, right?
Yeah.
There are people, there are people out there who like don't let their insecurities or self-doubt stop them from persevering. And there are people who will allow their fears to be an excuse to not pursuing and to not go after something. So I try to explain to people and help people with the idea that we're all the same, and it's about how you frame that idea in your brain to actually kind of go and live the life that you actually want to live, right? As opposed to just accepting what's in front of you. The idea of failure is interesting to me because everybody who's ever been super successful, we can look at people like an Elon Musk, we can look at people like Oprah Winfrey, we can look at people like anybody, LeBron James, in any area of sport, of any industry, athletics, business. Every single person has failed multiple times to then achieve greatness, right? It's not like right out of the gate, you're going to be successful. The only difference between me and someone else is that like I learned the idea of being resilient and being tenacious and being, and basically perseverance. Like that's the only difference. And everybody can learn those things. It's a skill.
And that's just a thing. It's part of life. And I think this word failure shocks people. And like you said, it's a mindset thing. And
it is.
And it's so
I don't know why it's a bad word. I don't know why people are like, oh my God, I can't fail. I mean, what do you mean you can't fail?
And that's the thing, coming back to the fear thing, what I always try to do for myself is because like you said, it's normal to have fear. But I think making yourself aware, hey, it's a fear zone, what you're in.
Right.
But the next zone will be the learn zone, and then's the growth zone. And if you always keep that in mind, just like, hey, it's normal, I'm scared right now. But if I do this, I will learn from it. And at a later stage, I can maybe repeat it a few times if it doesn't work straight away, but I will grow eventually. I just have to stick to it and carry on with it. And I mean, that leads up to actually what you are about with your podcast. It's getting a habit done, right? Like getting a habit that will change your life, because at the end of the day, we're all creatures of habit. And it's so important to think that bad habits, good habits, we can form them. And I think it would be lovely if you could just say what you think is key to forming new healthy habits, maybe for let's say a healthy lifestyle. Like obviously a lot of our users are doing intermittent fasting combined with healthy nutrition. What would you say is key to form a new healthy habit?
So I think exercise, it really kind of like, for me, is a super important habit for people. Like I said, it shows you what discipline, goals. It also improves your confidence, not just because physically you look better. That's not what I mean. I mean, when you see yourself, making a goal for yourself and then actually achieving that goal, that's the best way of building confidence. There's no such thing as motivation. Motivation wanes over time. Right? So you've got to really instill in yourself a way to really feel confident. And that's through winning, through yourself achieving, through yourself like actually going. You know how people lose confidence is when they start something and they don't finish it. Right? So if you're going to say to yourself, I'm going to do this, finish what you start. And if you don't, try it again, because that's how you lose confidence. So that's the first thing. Another really healthy habit is sleep. I think when people don't sleep well, a lot of other things become very out of whack. So having a really important night routine and having a very important morning routine sets you up for success in every way, shape, or form. Make sure you're getting enough sleep.
Yeah, definitely. And I think to always think as well, because we live in such a modern world with all our technology and everything, but to think, where do we come from? And that's why stuff like that, exercise, fitness, sleep is so important, right? And it's just so difficult nowadays, although we've made everything easier, but everything is going away from where we actually come from as creatures. You just have to identify unhealthy patterns and triggers you do yourself, right? You have to be realistic. If you've never done sport before, then it's probably not realistic to say, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow and I'm going to do 6 times per week. No, like be realistic, set a realistic goal, get some help of someone, and also reward yourself and be patient. Like those are the things I always noticed make sense, because if you just go 100% and it will probably work for the people like you who have a skill already, but for people who haven't formed that skill yet, patience is key, right?
Patience is key. I agree. I think that you said a couple of things that I think are very important, right? Is that everybody's different, right? Everyone has different patterns and everyone has different triggers. So it's not a one size fits all, right? Like I'll give you one, definitely not. Right? So that I think really the first step of all of this is to be self-aware, to really have like a heart to heart with yourself and say, you know what, where am I kind of like screwing up? Like where are my pitfalls? Like where am I, what time of the day am I, eating a piece of cake and 5 cupcakes? Like where is it? Like where's that? Like everyone's different. Everyone has different things. So having that ability to know what your things are, having that self-awareness, to have that like real, true heart to heart with yourself is so, so important.
Definitely. No, definitely. And it's something I will take on board as well, because I think it's what you're saying, or what's key behind it as well, is having these benchmarks and setting those for yourself, and they're just non-negotiable. So you're like an entrepreneur, but you're also a mom. Like they're two like total worlds. Like I think a lot of our listeners, who are obviously mothers and fathers as well, like would be really interested, like how can you make it all happen? How can you be such a successful entrepreneur but still be taking a caring and loving mum?
Well, first of all, that's very kind of you. I think that nothing is easy. Again, like I said, I don't think being a parent and being an entrepreneur is easy, but that's why it's even more important when when you're doing that, you have to have systems in place. You have to be able to set routines and things as much as you can on autopilot, so things don't get lost in the crack. Is it easy? No. But the reality is not. That's when you also have to be a little bit easier on yourself. Like, will things work out perfectly? No. Do you sometimes try something and it doesn't work out? All the time. And the reality is, this is right back to the same point. It's like, you know what? You have to give yourself the permission that, as long as that you're trying and you're making progress, I think that's all you can do. But that's not an excuse not to stay complacent and just stay put. I think that you can't have everything all at one time. Maybe I did a lot of heavy lifting on my career before I had kids, because I was super career oriented, because I knew that when I was going to be a mom, I wanted to be present as well. So I just think, again, it's about really understanding what your priorities are, also being very self-aware and knowing yourself, knowing what you want out of your life enough to pick that direction, not that destination. And also having systems. Again, whatever you pick, whatever you do, you have to have systems in place for success.
I like that. And that's true. And that's what I hope our listeners here could also let sink in and really understand, because it's so much to learn from. And I think you're just a great example of someone who can just prove that you will achieve anything if you work hard enough, but also, most important, smart, with a system, with habits behind it. And that's just so inspiring in general. And I just know that our listeners will we'll take a lot from this. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you here, and all these wonderful tips will be wonderful for our Fastic family to make sure that they can form healthy habits and be successful and chase what they want. And so thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest, Jen.
Thank you, Phil. It was really nice to be on your podcast. Good luck with everything.
Perfect. Thanks so much. And to our Fastic family, thanks for tuning in for another episode. If you're interested in learning more about Jen, listening to her TED Talk or her podcast, Habits and Hustle, check the description box down below. It's definitely worth it. And see you next time on the Fastic Feel Good Podcast. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.